Let's test this, okay?
So should we tell him to sing again? Or you sing. Krishna. Yeah. Okay. Krishna. We're gonna test the ladies' chorus. Yeah. Krishna, Krishna, Yaduvara, Krishna, 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 Yaduvara, Krishna, 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 Yaduvara, Krishna, 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 Yaduvara, Krishna.
Increase the harmony little bit, voice also. Voice also.
Only 5 minutes left.
Sage.
I didn't use.
Krishna, 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 Yaduvara, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
That is fine.
Ready for this? Paramesh. Parameshwari Jaya Durga, Jagadishwari Jaya Amba.
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
వచ్చినటువంటి ఈ విదేశీయులకు ఏ విధమైనటువంటి ఆర్థికంగా తక్కువ లేదు.
The foreigners, there is no dearth of money.
కావలసినంత ధనం ఉంటుండాది.
A lot of money.
వీరంతా కూడా కుబేర సంతతి వాళ్ళు.
They belong to plenty and
కానీ
prosperity.
ఎందుకోసం ఇక్కడికి వచ్చారు?
Why do they come here?
నిజంగా జబ్బే లేకపోతే ఎవడు ఆసుపత్రికి పోడు కదా.
If one is not sick, no one would go to the hospital.
జబ్బు ఉండినటువంటి వాడే ఆసుపత్రికి వెళ్తున్నారు.
The one who is sick goes to the
ఇక్కడ
hospital.
చేరినటువంటి వారందరూ పేషెంట్సే.
All those assembled here are patients.
అందరికీ ఏదో ఒక రకమైనటువంటి ఒక రోగం ఉంటుండాది.
Everyone has got one complaint or other.
ఏదో మానసిక అశాంతం, శారీరకమైనటువంటి అసుఖమో, ఇంకే విధమైనటువంటి ఒక పరిస్థితులు, అన్ని రకములుగా కూడాను ఈ జబ్బులు అనేక రకంగా ఉండినట్టుగా ఈ మానసిక సంబంధమైనటువంటి జబ్బులు అందరికీ ఉంటుండాలి.
There are various sorts of ailments, physical, but this mental disease.
శాంతి, సుఖము, ఆనందము అనేటువంటి మెడిసిన్ కోసమే వస్తున్నారు.
So they all come here to receive the medicine of peace and happiness.
కనుక ఈ పీస్ అనేటువంటిది కూడాను ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చింది?
Where from you get peace?
అనగా బయట నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటిది కాదు.
It's not from outside.
అది తన యందే ఉంటున్నది.
It is within you.
తన రోగం ఎక్కడో బయట నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటిది కాదు.
It's not the one from
తన యందే
outside.
ఉంటున్నది.
It is in you.
కారణం ఏమిటి ఈ రోగానికి?
What is the reason for the
ఇదే
disease?
మూల కారణము.
This is the only one.
ఎందుకు? దుర్గుణముల లోపల చేరిపోవడం చేతనే ఈ యొక్క దేహం కూడా ఆరోగ్యం కూడా పాడైపోతుండాలి.
Because of bad qualities, you are put to sickness.
ప్రతి మానవుని యొక్క శారీర మానసిక ఆధ్యాత్మిక బలమును కోల్పోవడానికి దుర్గుణములే మూల కారణము.
Everyone loses the health of the physical and mental bodies because of the bad
మూల కారణము.
qualities. Bad thoughts are
దురాలోచనే మూల కారణము.
wicked thinking.
కనుకనే నిరంతరము సదాలోచన, సచ్చింతన, సత్ప్రవర్తనలో మనం ప్రవేశించాలి.
We should always entertain good thoughts and sacred
మన
feelings
మనసు లోపల
and
ఎలాంటి
behavior.
దుష్ట భావం కూడా ప్రవేశించడానికి ప్రయత్నించినా తక్షణమే దానిని వెనుక తరమాలి.
The moment any bad thoughts enter into your mind,
ఇది
you try
నిజంగా
to give up.
మానవుడు చేయవలసినటువంటి కర్తవ్యం.
This is the main duty of man.
కానీ అటు చేయటం లేదు.
That's what we're doing.
వచ్చినవంతా లోపల చేర్చుకుంటున్నాడు.
We accept all that come on the way.
ఇది చాలా చెడ్డ జీవితము.
It's a bad life.
మలమును భుజించే జీవితము.
It's the one that
ఫలమును భుజించేటువంటి వ్యక్తి
excreta.
మలమును భుజించితే రోగములు రాదా?
Naturally you'll fall sick.
చెడ్డను విసర్జించాలి, మంచిని భుజించాలి.
Give up bad and partake good.
ఒక్క పప్పులో కొంత ఉప్పు తక్కువైపోతేనే మనం భుజించడానికి ఇష్టపడము.
When the salt is less in dal, you don't want to eat it.
కొన్ని క్షణాల్లో అరిగిపోయేటువంటి అన్నం లోపల తన రుచి సరిపోతేనే మనం సహించము.
You don't relish it if the salt is less because
60
you
ఏళ్ళు,
don't
70
relish
ఏళ్ళు,
the
80
food.
ఏళ్ళు, 90 ఏళ్ళు జీవించేటువంటి మానవులో ఒక రుచి ఉండనక్కర్లేదా?
Should there not be taste in this human life which will be long span, 60, 70, 90 years?
కనుక మన జీవితానికి కూడా ఒక రుచి కావాలి.
Therefore life also needs
జీవిత
taste.
రుచి
What is this taste?
భగవత్ చింతనే మన రుచి.
Thinking of the Lord is the real
సద్భావనే మన
taste.
రుచి.
Good thoughts,
సదాలోచనలే మన రుచి.
Good thinking.
సత్ప్రవర్తనే మన రుచి.
good behavior.
కానీ హృదయం నిండుకుడును దుర్భావములు, దుశ్చింతనలు, దురాలోచనలు నింపుకొని మంచి సద్భావములు పెట్టుకోవాలంటే ఇది లోపల చేరవు.
That only makes you happy, but keep filling your heart with bad feelings and wicked thoughts. You cannot
ఏమి లేని
have.
బుర్రలోన ఏమైనా చేర్చవచ్చు.
That brain which is empty, you can stuff it with anything.
शम्भो कैलासपते
पतिपुरीश्वर पालय मां
पतिपुरीश्वर पालय मां
देवादिदेवा प्रणमाम्यहं
देवादिदेवा प्रणमाम्यहं
साई देवादिदेवा प्रणमाम्यहं
साई देवादिदेवा प्रणमाम्यहं
जय गुरुदेवा प्रभु साई देवा देवादिदेवा प्रणमाम्यहम्
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मृत्युञ्जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महीन्द्रया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मृत्युञ्जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मृत्युञ्जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महेश्वरा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मौलीश्वर शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मदनान्तक शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मृत्युञ्जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मृत्युञ्जया शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
महादेवा
शिव शम्भो शङ्कर
मन बंगारु पति बाबा
मन बंगारुपति बाबा
मन बंगारु पति बाबा
बंगारुपति बाबा
अति श्रृंगार वदना साई
शृंगार वदना साई सखा तुम हो भगवान।
माता पिता बंधु सखा तुम हो भगवान।
माता पिता बंधु सखा तुम हो भगवान।
माता पिता बंधु सखा तुम हो भगवान।
ईश्वर भी तुम हो, अल्लाह नानक तुम हो।
ईश्वर भी तुम हो, नानक तुम हो।
ईश्वर भी तुम हो, अल्लाह नानक तुम हो।
ईश्वर भी तुम हो, अल्लाह नानक तुम हो।
प्रभु यीशु तुम हो,
महावीर तुम हो।
यीशु
प्रभु यीशु तुम हो, महावीर तुम हो।
देव तुम हो, मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
बुद्ध देव तुम हो, मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
बुद्ध देव तुम हो, मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
बुद्ध देव तुम हो, मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
साई राम साई राम।
साई राम, साई राम।
माता पिता बंधु सखा तुम हो भगवान।
माता पिता बंधु सखा तुम हो भगवान। ईश्वर भी तुम हो, अल्लाह नानक तुम हो। प्रभु यीशु तुम हो, महावीर तुम हो।
मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
देव तुम हो, मेरे प्राणनाथ तुम हो।
साई राम साई राम।
साई राम, साई राम।
भुवन बांधवा साई भगवान।
परमेश्वरी जय दुर्गा जगदीश्वरी जय अम्बा। परमेश्वरी जय दुर्गा दुर्गा
परमेश्वरी जय दुर्गा जगदीश्वरी जय अम्बा हे माता विश्वमोहिनी देवी जगदम्बा
जय दुर्गा महामाया जगदम्बा
माया जगदम्बा
जय दुर्गा महामाया जगदम्बा
जय दुर्गा महामाया जगदम्बा
माया जगदम्बा
महामाया जगदम्बा
माया जगदम्बा
महामाया जगदम्बा
परमेश्वरी जय दुर्गा जगदीश्वरी जय अम्बा
I only have one message for you. Love all, serve all.
Only have one message for you.
I only have one message for you. Love all, serve all. Love all, serve all. message of hope, message of love.
In our hearts the light will spark. Message of hope, message of love.
Love all, serve all.
Serve all.
Love all, serve all.
Serve all.
I only have one message for you. Love all, serve all.
जय जय राम जय साई राम
जय जय राम जय साई राम.
जय जय
जय जय
राम जय साई राम
राम जय साई राम. आनंद है साई राम. आनंद है साई राम.
जय जय राम जय साई राम
जय जय राम जय साई राम.
आनंद है साई राम आनंद है साई राम जय जय राम जय साई राम
जय जय राम जय साई राम.
साई नाम है सुंदर नाम
साई नाम है सुंदर
साई
नाम.
नाम है सुंदर नाम
साई नाम है सुंदर नाम.
मुक्ति और सुख का धाम
मुक्ति और सुख का धाम.
भक्ति मुक्ति और सुख का धाम
मुक्ति और सुख का धाम.
साई नाम है सुंदर नाम
साई नाम है सुंदर नाम.
भक्ति मुक्ति और सुख का धाम
भक्ति मुक्ति और सुख का धाम.
भक्ति मुक्ति और सुख का धाम
भक्ति मुक्ति और ಕುಮಾರ ಹನುಮಂತ
शिव शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय
नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिवाय
ओम शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय शिव शिवाय नमः शिवाय
नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिव
शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिवाय
नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिव
शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमो नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय
शिवाय नमः शिव शिवाय नमः ओम नमः शिवाय
Solo Dios eres tú, mi Señor.
Eres tú, mi Señor.
Solo Dios eres tú, mi Señor.
Solo Dios eres tú, mi Señor.
Jesucristo Mahavira, un solo Dios y nada más.
Jesucristo Mahavira, un solo Dios, nada más.
Jesucristo Mahavira, un solo Dios y nada más.
Jesucristo Mahavira, un solo Dios y nada más.
Jehová, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Sai.
Jehová, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Sai.
Jehová, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva,
Vishnu, Shiva, Sai.
Rashtra Guru Nanak, Mata Buddha Narayana.
Astro Guru Nanak, Mazda Buddha Narayana.
Rashtra Guru Nanak, Mata Buddha Narayana.
Astro Guru Nanak, Mazda Buddha Narayana.
Satya Sai Baba nos unirá en una sola humanidad.
Sai Baba nos unirá en una sola humanidad.
Satya Sai Baba nos unirá en una sola humanidad.
Sai Baba nos unirá en una sola humanidad.
Un solo Dios reinará, un solo Dios nos amará.
Solo Dios reinará, un solo Dios nos amará.
Un solo Dios reinará, un solo Dios nos amará.
Solo Dios reinará, Dios nos amará.
Solo Dios eres tú, mi Señor.
Dios eres tú, mi Señor.
Jesucristo Mahavira, un solo Dios y nada más.
Cristo Mahavira, Dios y nada más.
Jehová, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Sai.
Jehová, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Sai.
Rashtra Guru Nanak,
श्री राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम।
जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन
पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम।
पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन
हे अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
हे अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम। पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम। हे पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम। अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम। पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम। हे अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम। पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम। हे पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम। अयोध्यवासी राम 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 दशरथ नंदन राम।
शिव गुरु कुमार शाह वेल 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 मुरुगा। पालन शिव गुरु कुमार शाह वेल 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 मुरुगा। कलियुग वरदा शिव सुब्रह्मण्य।
कलियुग वरदा शिव सुब्रह्मण्य।
कलियुग वरदा शिव सुब्रह्मण्य।
कलियुग वरदा शिव सुब्रह्मण्य।
राम वेया मयेरिवा। वेल 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 मुरुगा।
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 हरिवेलड़गा साई गुरुनाथा।
वडिवेलड़गा साई गुरुनाथा।
हरिवेलड़गा साई गुरुनाथा।
वडिवेलड़गा साई गुरुनाथा।
साईनाथ ने षण्मुगा करुणाकरा।
साईनाथ ने षण्मुगा करुणाकरा।
साईनाथ ने षण्मुगा करुणाकरा।
साईनाथ ने षण्मुगा करुणाकरा।
वेल 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 मुरुगा।
वेल 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 मुरुगा।
बड़ी वेल वेल
मुरुगा करुणाकरा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
बड़ी वेल 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 मुरुगा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
बड़ी वेल 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 मुरुगा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
वेल 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 मुरुगा
पालन शिव गुरु कुमार शाह वेल 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 मुरुगा
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ज्ञानम् अनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा
ज्ञानम् अनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं अनन्तं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ब्रह्मा
ज्ञानं ब्रह्म
ज्ञानं ब्रह्मा
अनन्तं
अनन्तं
ब्रह्म
ब्रह्मा
अनन्तं ब्रह्म
अनन्तं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ज्ञानम् अनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ज्ञानम् अनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्म
सत्यं ब्रह्मा
सत्यं ब्रह्म
ज्ञानं ब्रह्मा
ज्ञानं ब्रह्म
ॐ तत्सत् श्रीनारायण तु पुरुषोत्तम गुरु तु सिद्धबुद्ध तु स्कन्द विनायक सविता पावक तु सविता पावक तु ब्रह्ममस्तु यवशक्ति तु येषु पिता प्रभु तु रुद्र विष्णु तु रामकृष्ण तु रहीमताओ तु रहीमताओ तु वासुदेव गो विश्वरूप तु चिदानन्द हरि तु अद्वितीय तु अकाल निर्भय आत्मलिङ्ग शिव तु आत्मलिङ्ग शिव तु आत्मलिङ्ग शिव शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
शांति शांति शांति
Om Sri Sai Ram. Welcome again on the third day of our divine Sri Satya Sai Global Council first ever retreat. We have a few announcements that we will do first, and then we will be having a guest speaker talk. Yes, okay. You got a slide there? Yeah, the first announcement is about the Parthi pilgrimage. We have sent you many emails about this. Last reminder is today to register by June 1st. Okay. And Parthi pilgrimage is happening on July 10th to July 17th. There is also a medical camp that is happening in the first 3 days. So please register before June 1st so that you could be on this divine trip that is happening after many years, almost 3 years, Sairam. The next is about, let me read, I can't read.
SSC group.
Okay, yeah, so there is a field trip that is happening to Thompson Park, okay, by SSC group 3 and group 4. And we'll have to, those who want to go there, we'll have to gather outside in front of the building after lunch at 12:45 p.m., okay? And the transport is arranged there. So this is for those group 3 and group 4 children and YAs, those who are going to be going there. And for group 1 and group 2, they will be having activities here in the room 102. Okay. And the last announcement is about the open market seva. We have already received quite a bit of contribution, but still there is opportunity for all of you to contribute again. And it's in room number, I guess, room number 103. Okay. So you can bring those items today, tomorrow, before the end of the retreat, and you can drop them in the room number 103. The list of the items that you can bring has already been circulated in email, but it is also at the registration desk or service help desk, okay? So you can always go there and check out, and on your return trip tonight, tomorrow, you can always bring those items. We are not giving any break as such now, okay? We'll go with the next program. I'll give 1 or 2 minutes for all those who need to go there, okay, for group 1 and group 2, okay. This retreat is bringing so much joy, so much bliss to all of us. Agree? Yes. 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 And yesterday, it was very lively, very energetic day for all of us. I'm sure we all agree. Definitely. Yes. Yeah. The day filled with Sai messages throughout. So many learning points that we could acquire. Morning, there was a very profound address by our Nimish Bhai. Afternoon workshops, very interactive with appropriate activities for all of us. And then to top it off, the evening program by our children so much to learn for us adults from these children, from the way they interpreted Swami's messages for themselves. And so much to acquire. There were so many aha moments for me. I'm sure for many of you, you will relate with me. Eureka moments, many bliss out moments, I'm sure. Pakoda moments. Yes, of course, we can't forget that as well. But what we learned was, I'm sure you all will agree with me that the most important is making every moment divine moment. Yes, and this retreat is for that, making every moment a divine moment. And to continue that enthusiasm, that energy that we have been feeling, okay, we have another guest speaker today who has come all the way from Atlanta. He is the founder of Sri Satya Sai Region 3, long ago in 80s. He is also the founder of Atlanta Sai Center. And he went to Puttaparthi in 1979. You can imagine how difficult it would have been to go into Puttaparthi during those years. And over the next 11 years, he made 14 trips from America to India, to Puttaparthi or Vrindavan, or both. And he only stopped when Swami told him to stop. But he made 14 trips, very intense trips, and he was very blessed to have numerous interviews, numerous conversations, numerous interactions, some darshanams, sambhashanam, sparsham, we all know the whole gamut of it. Trips to Uti and Kodaikanal, all of it, of course, dreams, visions, all of it. He is also an avid photographer and videographer, and under Swami's guidance, he produced many videos, both of Swami's darshan as well as the seva, as well as the Parthi ashram, and those videos are available in Sai Library in Puttaparthi. Some of them are also available in, I believe, YouTube. And he is a 80-year-old young gentleman full of enthusiasm and energy who has come to spend time with all of us. And we are very thankful that he has come in person. So without further delay, I would now present to you our speaker for today, Cosby Powell. Welcome. Thank you.
Is that about right? Okay. Can everyone hear? Okay. First, I'd like to thank Swami for this opportunity to share. Swami once said he's not separate from his words. So I always like to start a talk with a quote of Swami's, something that was significant to me. Man's natural state is happiness, and he cannot be blamed for craving that which is his own. But man is making a serious mistake, for he feels that the happiness for which he seeks comes from objects which he can experience. What is the remedy? The remedy is to consider the truth that there is only one ever, never failing happiness, and that is God. To drink of that ever-flowing spring of happiness, you must turn to yourself, to the divine, which, however obscure, is the resident of your heart, the subtle truth of your being. Love is the vital and essential reality of spiritual life. In human life, love takes a number of various aspects. Love for the wife and family. Love for various habits and indulgences. Love for various objects and persons. And love of God. God is love, and He is there in every aspect of love. Although love, which is God, appears to be modified and even distorted in man, yet truly that divine love remains pure and perfect. Only love for God is perfect. Gather your love from all aspects of your life and let it flow as one strong, deep river of love of God. Peace and happiness shall be yours. Now, this was really one of my favorite quotes early in my sojourn to Swami, because it explained to me the difference between seeking outside of ourselves and seeking within, and the difference between the love we have for things outside of ourselves and what we really should be seeking is that subtle truth within. I came to know Swami in 1974 from a film by Richard Bach. I won't go into that story because that's been in other presentations. And one thing of note is the powers that be that invited me, wanted me to tell new stories. I've done other talks throughout the country, and so all of these stories that I tell you today, I haven't shared before, except maybe one at the end. After coming to know Swami in 1974 through a film by Richard Bach, which I was impressed with, I was, westernized. My opinion was, well, Swami's in India and I'm in Atlanta, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Well, then after about a year, I read a book, The Man of Miracles, which many of you are familiar with. And from that book, I realized that Swami wasn't limited to just India, that he was everywhere and everything. And so there were a couple of miracles that happened before my first trip to Swami. But before I get into that, I want to say that through Swami's grace and, in a way, insistence, I've produced like 7 films on Swami. All of these are available at the ashram. Also, I have a YouTube channel that you can go on YouTube, type in Cosby Powell, and up will come some of my videos. And then under the main heading, if you will click on Cosby Powell, that will put you on my channel or my thing on YouTube. And there are now about 100 videos on that channel. But at the beginning of it are all the productions I did of Swami in the early days, the early darshans and so forth. My son also has a channel called Sai for Everyone that we're in the process now of collecting stories of people that have had these interactions with Swami. On that, how many people have been able to see Swami physically? And so, see, a lot have and a lot haven't. And today I want to let you know I'm sharing with you from the heart. To me, this isn't a personal story. It's something I want you to feel that I'm sharing with you from my heart to your heart. Because just doing something for myself no longer has importance as much. So everybody loves Swami stories, so I'm going to start and tell some. My first trip to Swami was in 1979, Christmas. We arrived, my wife and my son Aaron, who was 2 years old, was on that trip. Now, at that time, really no one in Atlanta knew of Sai Baba. And I can somewhat speak convincingly about that because I was head of an organization there called the Foundation of Truth. And we had like 2,600 people on our mailing list. And we sponsored in lecturers from all over the United States on metaphysical topics, spiritual topics, healings, astrology, all kind of varied things. So I was really well connected with the Atlanta area, yoga and so forth. So we go to India really not knowing much. And so I want you to understand my perspective at the time was a little limited, a little westernized, so to speak. So on that trip, my wife, who was becoming somewhat convinced of Swami and his divinity, but not quite totally. Now, I was convinced by the time I got there that he was God. So I had no problem. So we first arrived at Whitefield, at Bangalore, and went to the darshans at Whitefield. And then Swami moved to Prashanti. And so, of course, we followed him there. And now, after about the second darshan that we had, my wife was complaining that she didn't know if Swami was God. She was saying, I'm not getting it. And so, of course, I'm saying, well, you know, I don't understand. I mean, she says, well, if he was God, he would smile more. And of course, you know, if you've seen the darshan film, Swami is businesslike usually in the darshans. Now, I thought that was unusual, but you know, everyone has their perspective. So the next darshan we go, and as you know, the separation of the men and women, but I noticed her, Swami was close to her, and I noticed that she started crying. And so after darshan, she came over to me and was really hard to express herself, which was rare for her. I said, what happened? She said, Swami got to within about 3-4 people of me, and he looked at me and went. And then he went about his business, you know, from then on. But that did it for her, you know. It's just interesting how different things are set up for all of us. Of course, that made me very happy. Now, I'm going to share a story that's unusual and realize that Swami pretty much, as I was thinking about this talk, and what I would say, because they requested that I tell stories I haven't told before, caused me to reminisce a lot. And so Swami's message to me was, talk to them about love and unity. So really the underlying theme of this is that we need to be loving, especially of each other, and think of unity in all things. So I told you I was head of this organization, and I had a secretary, and pretty much she and I ran the thing. And so she was very near and dear to me, a sister. Now, of course, she saw the film on Swami, and she was somewhat impressed, but never really connected. But because I really loved her so much, you know, I would tell her, at first I would tell her some Swami stories and different things on my return from India. Now, shortly after that, I resigned from that organization and started the Atlanta Center because Swami said you can't be involved in all these other things, or that was his instructions to me. But this lady remained close to me. And so I told her one time, I said, now, if you don't, it doesn't matter whether you really believe in Swami or not. I just want to tell you one thing, that if you're ever in trouble, say Om Saram. So I started losing contact with the lady because I was involved in, the Swami activities and so forth. But then I got a call from her one day, and she says, "We need to have lunch. I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." So we have lunch, and she said, "There's no one else I can talk to about this." Said, yesterday, or day before yesterday, because this was the day before I had lunch with her, she says, "I was at this intersection, and I pulled out to cross, and suddenly a car doing 60, 70 miles an hour was at my door, and I was going to die. But for whatever reason, I remembered Om Saram." And she said the next instant, the car was no longer on this side of my car, but on the other side, and speeding away. So she never really became, say, a devotee, even though that experience happened to her. But I bring this to tell you that what we do and who we think of that are important, somehow Swami adapts those people to a degree. And so if our love can go out into the world, then this is what will change the world. Now, move forward. I first saw Swami in 79, and really the first 3 trips, I really had no interviews. But then I started filming Swami in 1981 through 1991. And from that point on, I did have a lot of interactions with Swami. And so really Swami just became like my father, like he was always there. And being that I started feeling like a son, I felt that I could, ask him for things or request things. Of course, knowing karma is at work. So I was in Atlanta in probably the mid-'80s, I want to say 84, 83, 84, and I received a call that my father had had a stroke. And now, my father lived in Milledgeville, which is where I live now, but it is 100 miles southeast of Atlanta. So the call was in the evening. It was probably 7, 8 o'clock that I got this call that he had had this stroke. And they had taken him to the hospital, and he was recovering. But they said that he was somewhat stable and that he would probably recover. So I didn't rush to Milledgeville at that time. I thought, well, I'll wait till in the morning and go early. So I got up about 5 or 6 o'clock and drove to Milledgeville, which was an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And in those days, you just went to the hospital. You didn't have to check in or whatever. And I knew the room number, so it's a small town, you just go in. So I went in, and my father was there on the bed, and he was on his side, and you could see that one side was, as I had been told, was paralyzed. He was drooling out of his mouth, and you could tell that he was recovering, but that he had definitely, may even be paralyzed on one side. So I just sat down and just thought of Swami for a moment, and a simple prayer to Swami. Swami, he's my father. I love him. It's my duty to ask you if there's something you can do about this situation, please do it. But I understand karma and so forth. And that was pretty much the prayer. Well, as I opened my eyes, my father became awake, and he started talking to me, slurring his words, not really fully talking, but you could understand somewhat what he was saying. And he asked me when I came, and of course I said just now. And then what happened was he started improving right before my eyes. He started normalizing, and as we conversed, his speech became normal. And he became normal. He even sat up and the paralysis or whatever disappeared. And this was happening before my eyes. And so, of course, I knew it was Swami. And he really pretty much fully recovered. And about that time, my family started coming. And I've never even really mentioned this to the family because they wouldn't comprehend or understand it anyway. But I knew what it was. And I wanted to share that in that really, to me, Swami is interested in our families, even though they may not be interested in him. And so my prayer to Swami after that was, Swami, if when he does have to go, just please take him in the night. And that's what he did. He died in his sleep. So in that case, Swami is, to me, interested in who we're interested in, and I have a few more stories later to tell you that. Now, all of you, or a lot of you, are familiar with Jack Lynchner, right? Yeah. A few. Well, Jack was there in '79 when I first made my trip, that first trip. Now, this is a story Swami told me to tell you. Because originally this wasn't going to be in the talk. So, Jack is an unusual guy. Even Ted Henry interviewed him in Jack Out of the Box. So he's very unusual. But Jack and I became friends on that first trip. And Jack had, back then when you recorded Swami, you had this large recorder as well as a camera. And so Jack had a back problem, and so I was carrying his recorder for him. Anyway, due to that, we became very good friends. And so Swami went to Udi after Christmas that year, because we were staying until the end of January, I think. And so we followed him to Udi. Now, Jack negotiated the cab for us to go. And we were very clear to the cab driver that he needed a car that could go up the mountain and down the mountain. And now I had my son, Aaron, with me, who was 2 years old on this trip. So, as you know, Udi is elevated. And so it's late at night when we are nearing Udi. For whatever reason, we should have gone earlier. But it's late at night. And of course, the cab breaks down, right? And so we're on the side of a mountainous region. It's getting cold. We're dressed for the summer. So we don't really have, coats and things like that. But the cab's broken down, and the driver is trying everything to try to fix it, and nothing is working. Well, I'm wondering what to do. I'm supposed to be responsible, my child and wife and so forth. So I'm saying to Swami, maybe you can help us with this situation. Now, Jack had just been in an interview with Swami before we went on this trip. Actually, he came out of the interview room and got in the cab with us, pretty much. I'm simplifying it. And we took off to Udi, or thereabouts. Anyway, Swami had given Jack some vibhuti in the interview. And so I thought about vibhuti, and I said, Jack, do you have any vibhuti that Swami has given you? And he said he did. And I said, well, let's sprinkle that on the motor, which we did. Car started right up. And now, so very unusual, but again, these things happen to all of us. But it was very nice that he relieved that situation, because I didn't know quite what we were going to do. Now, I would be remiss without talking about service. Service is very important to Swami, And it's not that it's important to Swami, it's important that for us, and I'm going to do, throughout this talk, I'm going to do some quotes with Swami, and so I'm going to do a quote here on service and then go on. Sai seeks only one thing, that you should love your fellow man and serve society. Sacrifice your selfishness. Try to come to the rescue of those in need. If you want to understand your true spiritual nature, plunge into service. Serving man is serving God. Service is the primary means through which the heart is purified. It broadens your vision, widens your awareness, deepens your compassion. Love is born in the womb of service. Love grows through service. Love finds expression in service. And God is love. Now, 1985, I was in an interview, and you will hear me say throughout the talk I was in an interview, and as he pointed out, I was fortunate to have lots of interactions with Swami. And in these interview situations, you learn and experience lots of different things. And in this interview in 1985, Swami turned to me and he says, I want you to come to my 60th birthday. Well, the reason he did that was because I avoided birthdays and large events because I wanted a more intimate time with Swami when I could film him at leisure and so forth. And I said, yes, Swami. And he said, not only that, you tell others to come too, which I did. But I wanted to say that because of this, I had access to Swami at the birthday, even though there ended up 1 million people there. And wherever Swami was, I was. But what was most significant to me in that was all of these service activities that Swami had organized behind the scenes that the public didn't really see. But I did because I was going to wherever he was going. Now, the happiest I have ever seen Swami was when he was blessing these caravans of trucks and cars to go out into the surrounding villages. These trucks, and they had, medical supplies, they had clothing, they had food, and he was just all smiles and showing to me that these were the things that were really significant to him. Now, I was president of the center, the center in Atlanta when this happened, and I was in an interview. And Swami had answered all of my questions. I didn't really have any needs. But in my heart, I wanted to share Swami with the Atlanta Center. So in the interview, it becomes your time, so to speak. So Swami looked at me like, what do you want or what do you need? And I said, Swami, would you send a message back to the Atlanta Center? He said, yes. Tell them to do more service. Well, we were doing some service, but of course we increased in our scope and started doing more things with the homeless and other things as a result of that, because I did deliver that message. Now, years go by, and I'm serving as the regional president of the Southeast. And again, I'm in an interview, and it becomes my time. And from my heart, I was wanting some message. Swami, could you give me a message to the region? He says, certainly. Tell them to do more service, which I did. But the point being here, Swami could have said anything, but he said service. So you can do more service. No matter what you're doing, you can do more. Now, it's not really for anything but our growth. But really, I've found personally that these service activities you participate in, they somehow open you up to others, and others are affected by that. So I needed to somewhat deliver that little thing on service. Now, I'm going to talk about an unusual trip. Before the last few years, Swami didn't allow me to divulge this, but Swami used to visit my house in Alpharetta periodically and tell me things. And it's a strange situation because Swami has been weaning me from his form for years, which fortunately he did, because when he passed, I was able to take that. But anyway, the theme of was that you know how you have a dream of Swami and you wake up and he's no longer there, but you remember the dream, of course. Well, here, he would come at 7 in the morning, which was when I would get up. So I would be getting up and he would appear. And I say appear, his presence was there, but his form wasn't. But he would speak to me like I'm speaking to you. I would hear him, through my ears, not through my head. And he would tell me things. He would tell me on, say, one occasion, it was like, I want the kids to go to this school. And for this to happen, you need to do this, this, and this. Or he would say, I want you to go and start doing business with this person. And that would lead to some $300,000 or $400,000 deal, which gave me money to travel and so forth. Or there were some adverse things that he would come and say, like, you need to stop doing this, or you need to do this. Well, anyway, 1988. Now, I had been to see Swami in 1987, and in that trip, at the end of that trip, I was complaining to Swami mentally that I had only been able to film him at Prashanti and Whitefield, and I wanted to film him in other places. And so after that thought, word came out that Swami was going to go to Kodaikanal. And so then a day later, it was changed that no, he wasn't. It was going to be a couple of months before he went. So I went home, but that had been on my mind. So in 1988, April, Swami came and said, I want you to get on a plane and come to India right now. He said, don't tell anyone, just get on a plane. Doesn't matter about the cost, just buy the ticket, which I did. When I got there, Swami had just left for Kodaikanal. So, of course, I felt that, this was ordained in a way because of him telling me to come and da-da-da. So when we get to Kodaikanal, or when I do get to Kodaikanal, now I engage my own cab so that I have a cab driver and a cab at my disposal the whole time I'm at Kodi. So when I arrived, they had one darshan, and all the photographers were there: Keiki, Mistry, Burzith, Sadada out of Bombay, etc. One of Swami's students. So everyone that had been photographing Swami through the years were there. But they were very despondent. And of course, I knew these guys because of, filming Swami at events with them through the years. And so they came up to me and said, Swami has outlawed photography or filming him at all. Said someone stood up yesterday in the hall and was taking pictures, and Swami said, no more. So they were all upset. I said, well, he told you guys that. He hasn't told me anything. I said, I'm going to ask him. Well, see, when you're close to Swami and he's angry about something, you don't fool with him, right? But, of course, yeah, you're the American. You go ahead. So I sit for darshan, and Swami comes right over, and I said, Swami, may I film you while I'm here? He said, certainly. So I had permission. But what that did was, because I had permission, they had permission. So everybody's happy again, and so we were, allowed to come in early and assist Swami in different things. But what was interesting was it evolved to where Swami sent word by his driver, Radhakrishna, that I could follow his car or go wherever he went, when he went out. And so this resulted in several things, but the visit to a couple of homes, and later on, I wanted to, because I'm going to show you some video here in just a minute of that, but I was able to visit 2 homes with Swami. And then when we went to Udi, in 1979, now going back, one of the things that struck me while we were at Udi was the boys singing to Swami in the background. Now, I don't know, have many people been to Udi with Swami? Or, yeah, it's a hard one to coordinate. But he had a boys' school there. And you could hear after darshan these boys singing to Swami, and it sounded so sweet. And I wanted to see that. Of course, that was not allowed. Only Swami and the instructors, the teachers, and the boys were in that. But like I say, Swami is my father. I'm his son. I can ask him a few things, So I said for darshan when we got to Udi, instead of filming, which is what I was supposed to be doing. Now, when you get close to Swami through the years, he treats you a little different. He doesn't feel he has to be nice to you all the time. He can be a little abrupt. And so I sit for darshan, and Swami comes over to me with a disgusted look on his face. And like, what do you want? And I said, Swami, may I film you with the boys? And he went, just dismisses me. And he starts, doing the darshan thing. So I get up and start filming. Now, at Udi, it wasn't a large crowd. It was probably, not even 100 people. So the darshan was quick, but it's the range where everyone has a front row, pretty much, especially when you just arrive. So I filmed that. And then he goes around to the entrance to the school, which is right adjacent to where the darshan area is, and he starts talking to the guy who's in charge of the school. And he looks out in my directions and points at me and says something to the guy. So after darshan, the guy comes over to me, and he says, Swami has invited you in to film with the boys. So I got to do that. The reason I'm telling you that is I'm going to show you some footage of Swami with those boys, and I'm going to show you a couple of home visits, and it's about a 12-minute video. Now, one thing significant in this background, because you're going to see in there Swami asking the driver at the end of one of the visits, does he know the way back? Well, the reason he's asking him that, because I was following Swami's car. And we came to an intersection. And we were at the intersection a while. Then finally, he took a right and went wherever we went. But we ended up on a tea plantation somewhere outside of Kodaikanal. Well, the driver told me later, said, Swami, a couple of things on this trip was Burgess was in my car and also his wife. And he said, Swami said to him, before, as they were traveling, he says, who's the lady in the third car back? And he said, that's the photographer's wife. He said, well, she can come too. But it was just showing that he knew everything that was happening. But he said also, if you notice, we were at that intersection and we were going on, and he was saying, I didn't know which way to go from that intersection. And Swami was going, you don't know which way to go? And he said, okay, take a right. And so Swami directed him from that intersection to the house. Now, you'll see in the film when Swami comes out to get in his car, he asked the driver, do you know the way back? Now, there's a solution to it. I'll let the video show you. So if we can at that time, now if you'll show this.
ఉసిరికాయ కాదు యాపిల్ ఏమో
జామకాయ
ఇక్కడ పోదాం ఆర్తి తీసుకో ఇండికేషన్లో
ప్రొఫెసర్తో బ్యాగ్లేసి
చాలా బాగుంది. రోడ్ తెలుసు నీకు?
నమస్కారం చేసుకో. నమస్కారం చేసుకో.
కారు ముందు పోతే మంచిది. జీప్ పోమంది. ఆ జీప్ పోమంది. చూడు జీప్ ముందు పోతే మంచిది.
జీప్ అంటే ముందు పోలేదు.
రోడ్డు జీప్ ముందు పోతే సరే సార్ అని పక్కన పెట్టారు. రావు నీవు ఎక్కువ ఉండొచ్చు కళ్యాణం పోలే నీవు ఉండొచ్చు. తల్లి నా పేరు సాయి గీతాంజలి. సాయి గీతాంజలి పేరు సాయి దర్శన్. నా స్కూల్ పోదిలే ఎప్పుడు ఇంటి ఊర్లోనా என்ன அம்மா கண்ணு என்ன ஆயிடுச்சு? ஆப்ரேஷன் வேணும்னு சொல்றதா? எப்படி இருக்கு இப்போ?
நீங்க கோயம்புத்தூர்ல இருக்கீங்களா? அம்மா ஐக்கா அம்மா நீங்க கஞ்சரா தங்கச்சிக்கு தங்கச்சி சமிதி சமிதி எங்கே சமிதி கோயில் போர்டு இங்கே ஒரு சமயத்தில் வந்து அது எல்லாம் ஒரு சமயத்தில் எல்லாம் ரொம்ப காரணம் ஃபாலோ பண்ணேன் ஒரு சமயத்தில் திருப்பி ஆகஸ்ட் அதுக்கு ஆகஸ்ட் எப்படி இருக்க
Saram, there is a small announcement from the security team and a parking team. There is a Tesla in the parking lot. There is a Maryland number plate, MD, GER0132. That's the number plate. I think the AC and lights are on, so by the time you go back, it might drain out. So whoever the owner of this car is, please do go and take care. Okay? Thank you, Saram.
Again, okay. Yes. Okay. Time for another quote. Again, the theme is love, unity. So several quotes on love from Swami. The divine can be grasped only through love. Reason is too feeble an instrument to measure it. Denial of the divine cannot negate it. Logic cannot reveal it. To the doubting or confused ones, I give this illustration. Those who wish to secure pearls from the sea have to dive deep to secure them. It does no good to dabble among the shallow waves near the shore and say the sea has no pearls, and all stories about them are false. Likewise, if a person wants to engage in the love and security of this avatar, he must dive deep and get submerged in Sai Baba. Love for God is devotion. Devotion is not something objective and concrete. It is an inner experience which springs from the heart. To one who has full faith in God, everything is God's grace only. There is no good or evil. The devotee of God welcomes everything equally. The devotee should develop that sacred feeling that whatever happens, it is for his good. Now, again, love and unity. Through service, we can enhance our love, but just being loving. Now, Swami wanted me to convey probably my sadhana for the last 5 to 10 years has been thinking of Swami, involving him. And with that, I want to go into the interview situation. Now, how many here have had interviews with Swami? See, yeah, not many, because those days are going away. But I want to sort of take you into the interview room, and because as you saw at the home here, Swami is just when he's in an informal setting, he's very relaxed and just talks and interacts. And so it is in an interview situation, but there's a lot of things you can learn in the interviews. One of the things Swami told me, or told the group, and he expressed this, and before I forget it, I produced a film called 1991 Talk to Westerners. Swami called the Westerners in, and he talked to them at Kodaikanal in 1991. Now, in this video is a lot of what I experienced Swami saying at different times in other videos or interviews. So if you want to see what it's like to be in an interview with Swami, check that film out. And again, you can find that on my YouTube channel. But I mentioned that I heard Swami say pretty much everything in the video in different interviews, and I'm going to cover a couple of them now. One thing he said was you need to have one name, one form. Not many. Just one name, one form. Focus on that. He says whether it's my form or not, one name, one form. He talked about us realizing our divinity. He would say, "You're God." He said, "You have to believe that." He says, "I'm God, and I know it. You're God, you don't know it yet, but you need to know it." And he would even clench his fist, be determined, know that you're God. And then one of the things he would bring up is who are you? And he would say, "You're not the mind, you're not the body." He says, "I'm not the mind, I'm not the body." And then he would take his handkerchief, "This is my handkerchief, I'm not the handkerchief." You know, he doesn't have a possession, so to speak. And he would compare that with, you're in the light. The light is in you, you are the light. And to me, us being with Swami that's like being in the light. But then as we incorporate him within ourselves, he is inside of us. And then, of course, the final thing is to become like Swami or more like Swami. I was just sitting for darshan one day. Swami invited me in for an interview. And I noticed when I got in the interview room, there was nothing but Italian people in the interview besides me and Swami. And so he had this lady translating from English, which he was speaking, no Telugu in it, in the interview. He was speaking perfect English, and the lady was translating the English to Italian. Now, it was interesting because he was reprimanding the Italians for misbehaving. So it was pointed interview. And really, I was just there as a witness. No real interactions with Swami, but I was watching this. Now, one of my things that trip was how is it that Swami, does he really speak all languages of the world? Well, this was for my benefit partly too. So what was interesting, now he's really reading the Italians out. I mean, pointing out different things. You're doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. You're not doing this, da-da-da-da-da. And this lady was trying to translate this. But what was interesting was when she wouldn't translate it right, Swami would give her the correct Italian phraseology for her to tell them that. And he did that 4 or 5 times. So it was, I don't know if he can speak all languages, but I know he knows Italian. Now, one thing that you can learn in these interviews is lessons, even though they might not seem to apply to you. And this one is something that is really, to me, important. There was an older lady devotee in the interview, and Swami was talking to her about, you know, family things and so forth. And Swami said, your husband, his business is up, it's down, it's all around. Half the time he's worried about money, half the time he's not. He's always in a dilemma about his business. But he does not include me. What can I do? And when you really think about that, if you don't include Swami, then things go on as they were. They don't change. So that from that point on, I decided to include Swami in every way I could. And even when I returned to the United States, I dedicated the seat to my car, the passenger seat, to Swami, which I'm sure others have done similar things. But I think about Swami that way. You know, I involve him in my driving. Because he's there, he's the passenger. So I need to take care of the passenger, right? Which in a way is taking care of yourself. Another thing that happened in an interview, now, Swami asks questions in interviews. You've read the stories and so forth. And so he asked this question in an interview. He said, we're going to do some spiritual math. And I thought, well, this should be interesting. Now, I'd had enough interview experiences to know that you don't really try to answer what Swami asks because you're not going to get it right. So he said, what is 1 and 1? And different people made answers. You know, 1 and 1 is 2, and then 1 and 1 is 1, etc. And Swami says, no. He says, 1 and 1 is we. We and we are one. Now, you know, nothing Swami says is by accident. And it reminded, I do have a Christian background, and it reminded me in the Bible where Jesus asked Joseph of Arimathea, what is the greatest commandment? Now, you know, the Christianity is based on the 10 commandments, the do's and don'ts. And he says, what's the greatest commandment? And he answered, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, body, and soul. And Jesus' response was, well said. You're not far from the kingdom of heaven, but I give to you another commandment. Thou shalt love thy brother as thyself. And so to me, that's similar to what Swami was saying, we and we. But through learning to love others as we love ourselves, we become we and we are one. Now, how is the time going? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do another quick story and then another quote. Now, these stories happen after the Mahasamadhi, and I wanted to bring things in that happened to me or around me after Swami's Mahasamadhi, because then, you know, a lot of the thought, well, will he go away, or is it going to be diminished, or whatever. So my son Aaron and I, a few years ago, mainly it was Aaron wanting to do this, we dedicated ourselves to doing 95 stories for the 95th birthday. And some of you are familiar with that, but it's on the Atlanta Psi Center. If you type in YouTube Atlanta Psi Center, you can find these stories. And so these were stories of Swami's interaction with devotees around Atlanta. Now, what happened was of course, we knew some people, that would contribute, but a lot of people were reluctant to share their stories because they didn't feel comfortable on camera, so to speak. Well, so we were at about 25 stories, and we have a time limitation on this. We've got to get it done by the birthday. And now I tend to include Swami in whatever conversation I have with someone. And so Aaron and I talk, and every time we talk, we share a Swami story, or we'll talk about Swami, and sometimes even complain to Swami. And so we were running out of people to interview. Now we were at 25, and we got to get to 95. And so Aaron and I are on the phone, and I said, Swami could help with this situation if he chooses to. And he agreed, and we were talking about that. Well, all of a sudden, Aaron got more interviews than he could even do after that conversation. Now, that's just a small example, but again, including Swami in what you're doing, and then letting him take charge. Now, an interesting story that happened, I feel that Swami is always with me. And it's not an egotistical point of view. It's just sort of a knowing. And so wherever I go or whatever I'm doing, I'm feeling Swami is there. Now, as I said, I live in Milledgeville, which is 100 miles southeast of Atlanta. And my sister, who has a relationship with God, not so much with Swami, but just God. She had invited me to come up to her house in the mountains, which was in North Carolina, and it's elevated there, so in the summer it's comfortable there. So I went up to visit her, and I was going to be with her 4 or 5 days, 6 days, I can't remember now how long. But when I arrived, my sister's really a happy-go-lucky person, but she was very upset. Part of it was my sister-in-law had passed, and she had suffered just unbelievably through an illness, and it was a debilitating illness. Anyway, so she was upset about that, and she was reading about all these things in the world that were going on. So she was not happy. And so we would have conversations in the evening about spiritual things, and I would tell her a Swami story or whatever. But she had this underlying thing that she was not pleased with God. She was mad with God, and that there's no reason for God to allow all this suffering going on in the world. Well, I was trying to explain to her, karma and background and so forth. She's having none of it. So that evening I was just thinking about Swami, and I said, Swami, my sister, she's a good person, good loving person. Perhaps you can help her with her problem. Now, it was her thing that she woke up earlier than I did, and she would get up, 7 in the morning, and I wouldn't get up till 9:30. Then we'd have breakfast, even though she had been up doing whatever. So I go in to have breakfast with her, and she's all smiles. And she's very happy, normal. And she said, I need to tell you something. I said, okay. She said, this chokes me up a little. So I was in my garden this morning, and Swami appeared. And he started out the conversation, what are you doing? And she says, well, I'm weeding, Swami. And his response was, yeah, I do some weeding too. So that began the conversation. Then she brought up, she said, why are you allowing all this suffering? And now I'm paraphrasing, of course. His response was, you know, you need to just worry about your life and let me take care of the world. And actually, it's above your pay grade. Now, this was something she could understand. And so the visit continued some, and then he just disappeared. Now, there's a picture, but I don't think we're going to be able to show it. But the next day when she went out to her garden, there was a big S, a metal S that she found from nowhere. And her husband had bought her 2 new plants for the garden earlier in the week, and one of them was thriving, coming up, one of them was dead. And she was going to be removing it. Well, after Swami's visit, that turned into the best plant in her garden. So, I want to do a quote that's significant, and I guess I'll let this in. But again, on love. And I'm going to just let the quote speak for itself. Spiritual disciplines are designed to canonize love so that it may irrigate the heart. The reason you have earned this physical frame is to grow in love, strengthen that love, sustain that love, and finally become that love. See with the eyes of love, hear with the ears of love, work with the hands of love. I have come to light the lamp of love in your hearts, to see that it shines day by day with added luster. I have come to tell you of this universal unitary faith, this path of love, this duty to love, this obligation to love. May you develop this divine love and stand out as harbingers of a new age. Let each of you be a light unto himself or herself, and thereby be a light unto others. Start the day with love. Fill the day with love. Spend the day with love. End the day with love. This is the message of love I bring to you. And to finalize, Swami says, as a human being, you should desire, seek, and enjoy only one thing, and that is love of God. Once you have love of God, you will never indulge in bad actions. This is the secret of human birth. Thank you.
We have a few questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do you want to take a break? We can
No,
show
no.
one of the videos, and we can. And then
Okay,
you
if
can
they-
do Q&A.
Yeah, we can do that. We're going to postpone questions. I'm going to show you a presentation. Just do one. I think about Swami a lot, and I do videos, and sometimes they're for myself. But this one was somewhat inspired for you guys. And what it is, it's a collection of modern songs with Swami's darshan. So we're going to play that now, and then we're going to have a break, and then we'll do questions and answers. So with that.
Break for you.
Huh?
After the video, we'll go to Q&A, but it was a video to break for you.
Okay. We're just going to the video now, and then we'll have questions and answers. Okay.
Over mountains, over trees, over oceans, over seas, across the desert, I'll be there. In a whisper on the wind, on the smile of a new friend, just think of me, and I'll be there. Don't be afraid, oh my love. I'll be watching you from above. But I'd give all the world tonight to be with you. 'Cause I'm on your side and I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me, and I'll be there. On the edge of a waking dream, over rivers, over streams, through wind and rain, I'll be there. Across the wide open sky, thousands of miles I fly to be with you. I'll be there. Don't be afraid, oh my love. I'll be watching you from above. And I'd give all the world tonight to be with you. 'Cause I'm on your side and I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me and I'll be there. Just think of me, I'll be Don't be afraid, oh my love. I'll be watching you from above. And I'd give all the world tonight to be with you. 'Cause I'm on your side and I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me, I'll be there. Just think of me, I'll be there. Think of me, I'll be there.
I've made up my mind to live in memories of the lonesome time. It's useless to say, so I'll just live my life in dreams of yesterday. Those happy hours that we once knew, though long ago, it still make me blue. They say that time heals a broken heart, but time has stood still since we've been apart. Yeah. made up my mind to live in memories of the lonesome time. It's useless to say, so I'll just live my life in dreams of yesterdays. Those happy hours that we once knew. Still make me blue. They say time heals a broken heart. Time has stood still since we've been apart. I said I made up my mind to live in memories of the lonesome time. Sing the song, children. It's useless to say, so I'll just live my life of dreams of yesterday.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000
awesome wonder. Consider all the worlds thy hands made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe display. Then sings my
Shairam, we'll begin the question answer session. You can ask the questions by taking the microphone. Whoever wants to ask, we'll pass the mic to you. But there's one question that we'll start with, the first question. And this is, I believe, from Raj Srivatsan. How did you reconcile your birth faith with your understanding of the spiritual phenomena Swami represented? I can repeat if you like. How did you reconcile your birth faith with your understanding of the spiritual phenomena Swami represented? This is question number one part, and then the other one is, this is past, and again there is another part to it.
I'm not totally understanding the question, but it's asking how I reconcile
your birth faith, your
Christianity. Oh, okay. Well, before involving myself with Swami, I was involved a lot with psychic phenomena, so to speak. And there are different things that you can do to do, say, past life regressions or exercise where you can perceive the Christ consciousness. Now, our belief system was that we more the Christ consciousness rather than Christ the man. You know, that it was the consciousness that Jesus exemplified that was attractive to me. Now, when I became involved with Swami, I still had the image of Jesus that I would, you know, rely on, so to speak, in my meditative states or what have you. So I did have a dilemma. But I did have a dilemma in that I didn't know how to reconcile that. So as I was meditating one day, into my consciousness became the image of Jesus, and there was also the image of Baba, Swami. And really, they merged, and only Sai Baba remained. So I hope that answers it.
Saram. Yes, it did answer the question, and I think you answered the second question also, which was, what is your present understanding?
Okay.
Let's go to the ladies' side. They have one question.
Sairam.
Sairam.
Go ahead, it's on.
Sairam, before we go to the ladies, we do have a question. We just posted as 2 questions, in fact. Can you please elaborate on how you directly communicate with Swami? This is the first question. And the second question, how should one do to be able to set direct advice from Swami?
Okay. Repeat the first question.
Can you please elaborate on how you directly communicate with Swami?
How my what now?
Communicate.
How you directly communicate with Swami.
Oh, how I directly communicate with Swami. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it has evolved through the years. Of course, I told you about the visitations. That was one way. But mainly, what happens is, you know, because you're so involved with Swami, you think of him so much. With me, answers just come. It's not like I have to put a lot of effort into it. But what happens is the answers for me are more, let's say, loving or seeing beyond what is happening now. Knowing that Swami is in control. Knowing that no matter what appears to be happening, that's going to change. But the love that I have for him or that he has for me is not going to change. That's always there. Now, what was the second part?
I think it covers up even the second question. It is just that what should one do to able to set direct advice from Swami?
Okay. This is always tricky. It's different for everyone. And I don't think anyone can say, do this or do that. I think what matters, as Swami says, you take one step toward me, I take 100 toward you. You cry one tear for me, I'll wipe 100 from your eyes. But really, if you just think about him, now he has even said this, if you think about me and then let some time pass, the answer will be revealed. Now, I've talked to lots of people, and everyone has somewhat of a different thing with that. But I am totally convinced that if you deepen your relationship with Swami, if you include him more in your life, you really won't have to put a lot of effort into getting that advice from him. Now, just remember that whatever is happening It's not going to be permanent. It will change. But that relationship will somehow, as like with my sister, it's not just limited to me. I think all of us, whatever you're involved in, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're doing, Swami's there too. But just recognize he's there. Don't think he's somewhere else, that someone else has these experiences. Because the experiences I have can be yours or anyone's. But just again, I think it doesn't really totally answer the question, but your guidance comes from your relationship with Swami. And that's always different with everyone. Okay.
Thank you. Sairam, Sairam, very nice talk. I love the two examples that you gave, where how you involve Swami. Like when you're driving, you imagine that Swami is your passenger, that's wonderful. And, how you ran into a roadblock with 25 interviews, you ran out of people to interview, and, you kind of submitted that problem to Swami, and then, I think you ended up with 100+ interviews, right? So, right. So, those were two wonderful examples, how we can involve Swami. Maybe you can tell us, a few more examples how we can involve Swami into our day-to-day lives like that. And one other question is, Swami says, right, in one of the quotes, Swami says, surrender to me. Don't ask anything of me. And that's in your best interest.
Yeah.
Right now, so given that, when we involve Swami, should we be mindful, that we don't, surrender our, kind of, okay, Swami, take care of this problem for me, or, surrendering our problems. And,
right.
So there's a little bit of, maybe a balancing act there. Maybe you can throw some light on that,
Okay. Well, again, my thing is involving Swami after in that interview when he told the lady, your husband doesn't include me, and so the business is all over the place. So from that moment, really, I started being more conscious. I think that's maybe the key, is just be more conscious of Swami around and in and whatever you're doing. And see, like I said, that's sort of my sadhana, is making sure, and I think everyone will confirm here, all my conversations with different people about the talk and all, we always told a Swami story, because I always like to include Swami in whatever conversation I'm having. Now, that can be yours, but whether you actually say something or not, just remember him. Just say you're talking to your sister or brother about mundane things, just remember Swami. Well, Swami, I'm carrying on this conversation, but I want you to know I'm thinking about you. So just an effort from our part. And that is something that Swami has expressed in the past, that the lack of spiritual growth is because of our effort. We don't put enough effort into it. So hopefully that answers it.
Sairam, we'll have time only for one more question.
Thank you, brother. I have a question.
Sure.
And, it's always intrigued me how the Westerners came to India, and quite apart from the culture shock, there's also the Swami shock. When you walk with Swami, when you see him mingling with the local population, talking the local language, and when he talks to you in broken English, it does shock your mind. Can this be a divine representation? Can this be the divine principle? I think that's been a major stumbling block, not just for Westerners, but for Indians themselves, because they come from different cultural backgrounds, languages, customs. And so even within India, there can be quite a culture shock when they are confronted by this principle, Swami. Quite apart from your psychic background as well as your merger in your meditation, Swami with Jesus, I don't know whether that preceded your trip to India or subsequent to your trip to India.
After.
Could you throw a little light on how the cultural issues you were able to wade through that and eventually reconcile, not quite the merger, but also all of these confluence of confusion?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate because I was ready for Swami when that happened, and in a way, maybe that's the answer. Everyone matures at a different time. So regardless of what obstacles, I was mentioning and talking to someone earlier that when we made the trip in '79, we encountered people on the way to see Swami. And what was interesting was half were for Swami and half were against, which I found very interesting because in a way, if I hadn't been determined to see Swami, that would have created some doubt. But Swami, like in the interviews I've been in, he is heart to heart. And even though he speaks in broken English somewhat, that presence, his presence, overrides all the other. And in my case, that was it. Just being, once I had my first darshan, I mean, that's it for me. Because there's just no, for me, there was no denying his divinity. And of course, the relationship grew from that point. But I do recognize that, like even my family, they're not interested in Swami. But somewhere in their background, they do somewhat have an appreciation of me and my belief. And they've witnessed that I've changed through the years. And so maybe that's it. Maybe just through association. But I feel Swami's mission is really in a way not for us to see. It's just for us to participate in. So in a way, I don't really question anymore. But to his point, it is hard for Westerners to understand the Indian culture, just face value. It is something that somehow it will be straightened out in the future, how Swami will decide. Yeah. But again, I think it is important, as you guys should talk to Swami about including Westerners, because as I've exemplified with my experiences with Swami, whatever you're interested in, he's interested in. And if you petition him, then he, in a way, has to respond. So it might be a sadhana for you to sacrifice some of your culture when you're dealing with Westerners so that they can relate somewhat. When I started the center in Atlanta, we had really no Indian involvement at start, and we were anxious to get our first Indian, so to speak, which is a reverse. But I think the reason we were attracting Westerners at the time was because, say, it was less more informal. And also, we would make sure that if it was someone new, they had someone assigned to them to, say, well, this is the reason this happens, this is the reason this happens, and it's not so strange, and so forth. But that's another subject. I don't want to get too far into that, but I do appreciate that Westerners have a problem. But just think to yourselves, maybe that's why Swami's prompted me to say this, is think about Westerners and think about, Swami, why don't you involve them more? And then he will figure it out from there. Okay. Okay.
Sir, we'll have our Vice President of the region, Venkat, to do the vote of thanks. And after that, we'll have Aarti. Sarah.
Swami gives me the opportunity to stay between you and food, always. Thank you, Brother Cosby, for this wonderful heart-to-heart message, or a series of messages. Are we ready to go out of this door with a smile? I think we should. Can we always imagine the jokester in Swami? And we should. Now we know, after his talk, what the prescription for trouble is. We should know also that Swami is closer to us than even our own family. I loved how the brother Cosby spoke about serve, 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 love, 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 and that's all that is to it. Do we want to be reprimanded by Swami, or do we want to earn his grace? Let's walk out of there with the decision to earn his grace. Let's live life his way. Otherwise, I'm afraid it's going to be above our pay grade. Just love, and he'll be there. Thank you, and Sairam. Before we move forward, I would request Brother Pradosh to come and offer our token of love to Brother Cosby. Couple of quick announcements. One is, as yesterday, if you'd like to go take blessings from Swami in Swami's room, please stay back, let everybody leave for lunch, and then please go to Swami's room. Second thing is, we will have workshops after lunch, 2 workshops here from 1 to 1:45 and from 2 to 2:45, and 1 workshop in room 101 downstairs. Sarah.
ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सच्चे साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वर ओम जय जगदीश हरे शिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतीता आश्रित कल्पलतीता आपद बांधवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैव मरियंतयु मीरे स्वामी मरियंतयु मीरे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नागेन्द्र शयना ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप जय शिव साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल हारति अंधुको मंगल हारति अंधुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम साई नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम साई नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम
नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की, शिरडी साई महाराज की, साई माता जी की। परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थ इष्टार्थ मोक्ष प्रदातं बाबा विभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि लीला विभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि sacred ash miraculous Baba's creation flowing from his blessing hands, holy creation, granting us the greatest wealth, God's divine protection. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation. Varadali al amor, brutan de tu palma, como el brillo del sol, ilumina y alba, siempre dando a la vida nuevas esperanzas. Brindanos tu gracia, dulce Sai Baba. Brindanos tu gracia, dulce Sai Baba. Oh.